welcome to TLDR on Earshot. I am your host Garima, and today we are joined by senior journalist Mr. Nagenth Sharma to discuss the major events of last week, or rather last 12 years. Last week, India saw something which it probably had never witnessed in the past 12 years. A protest led by the youth, primarily the Gen Z, which shook the political corridors of the country. A protest that started over NEET paper leak and student suicide, but later became a movement demanding accountability from the government over several other issues. Ultimately, the education minister in question, Dharmendra Pradhan, had to step down on Saturday. So in this episode, we will discuss the whole matter, the protest, the politics behind it, the social media buzz, the Gen Z, similar protests in neighboring nations, and the aftermath of the youth and CJP-led protest in India. So sir, the first question is, how do you see this entire episode? The protest, was it actually just a students' movement or protest, or was some sort of politics involved? Was it politically packed? Also, the behavior of the Gen Z became a point of debate. You know, their language, their conduct in public forum, the misogynistic memes and posters. And so what do you think about that?
Well, Garima, actually, these protests, which lasted roughly more than a month, have left, a lesson for all of us. Not only the government, not only the political class, or not only the executive. So what has happened in India over last, say about 5-6 weeks, though the protests over NEET were gathering, they had actually some sort of things had started coming out by the month of May, but they gathered steam by June, and by July, India was witnessing something, as you have very rightly said, something which had not happened in 12 years. I would go even further, that something of this sort was seen when a very brutal rape, gang rape and murder of a Delhi-based girl, Nirbhaya, took place in December 2012. But this scale was much larger. So what happened? That all India pre-medical test, which is now called the NEET, National Eligibility Test for Admission, undergraduate admissions to medical colleges. So it is not for the first time that the leak happened only in 2026. Leak had happened in 2024 also, which we'll subsequently discuss. But this time what happened, that moment news started coming in that the paper had leaked, re-exam was ordered, unfortunate incidents of suicides of NEET aspirants, official count is that 21 happened. So that actually Gen Z, as we call the Gen Z, look, they are different. It's difficult to decipher them. It is difficult even for their parents, forget the government or forget the law enforcement agencies to. And what you have questioned, that, see, their language is something which elders do not understand. And if you try to use force, you see, this generation does not listen. It will hit back. Yes, some language used by some of the protesting students and youth, I think that was not in good taste, or that should have been avoided. But the question is that once a protest goes out of control, then all hell breaks loose. So what has happened in the country over last 5-6 weeks is that a restless Gen Z, they have taught a lesson to everyone concerned. Now it is for the country, it is for the government, it is for the political class, it is for the academic institutions to understand why this restlessness and frustration is. NEET was only a trigger.
Yeah.
Then it amplified into something else. Sooner everybody realizes that the Gen Zs cannot be treated with business as usual, better it will be for everyone.
Yes, sir. So the next question was demanding Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation. It started with that, and later on a lot of other issues joined in. So what do we exactly mean by accountability, taking accountability? Does resignation of a minister ensures accountability, or conducting the re-exam in a proper manner, like results could be like students getting the results on time, or introducing or implementing real reforms actually means accountability? Because it is not just about entrance exams. It is also about, jobs, lack of opportunities in the country for educated and skilled youth. So the problem is.
So what happens, Garima, is that for every agitation, when the agitation gathers steam, what happens is that there is some trigger point. So what happened in the current scenario? What was the trigger point? The trigger point was that NEET exam, a question paper had leaked.
Yeah.
Why the anger was building up? That it is not for the first time that the NEET undergraduate question paper had been leaked. It had happened in 2024. There are reports that it was happening at a smaller scale earlier also. But when an agitation gathers steam, look, nobody had imagined, say in the month of May or June particularly, that what would happen in July. So, what are the how agitations are built up? Once students and youth started coming out, so what was the anger? Anger was about the question paper leak. Then what happens is that in any agitation, you have a key demand becomes a rallying point. So in this case, the rallying point became Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. I mean, to say the former Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, who, as you have pointed out, quit on Saturday. So what happened? Trigger point was the NEET exam. What became the rallying point? That the he became the focus of the agitation. In a way to put it, that the genz actually turned him into a villain. Okay. Now, does a minister's resignation bring in accountability? Certainly not. Right? So, what happened with the resignation? The government, by asking Dharmendra Pradhan to resign, actually released the pressure walls. So at least the students are not on the roads. They have gone back. A lot of reforms are needed, and as it happens in India, whenever an agitation takes place, the governments of the day, they come in with some knee-jerk steps to address the immediate problem. Accountability in exams, education sector reforms. These things have been discussed for decades, but unfortunately, these things have not been able to keep pace with changing times.
Yeah. Yes. So another question that has, people are actually talking about is what will be the political implication of this victory of the youth of this country and also the CJP. Like, do we see an actual competitor in the upcoming elections? Like, does BJP have an actual competitor?
Okay, so let us look at things one by one. Look, political implications. First of all, this is a government. This is Narendra Modi-led, BJP-led NDA's third tenure.
Yeah.
Narendra Modi stormed to power in 2014 with a single-party majority. Remember, the majority that Narendra Modi got in 2014 was something which had not happened in India in 3 decades. Last time when there was a single-party majority government was late Rajiv Gandhi in 1984 in the aftermath of assassination of his mother. He won a majority of 415, which nobody has won in India's electoral history. After that, there were coalition governments. Now, 2014, India's electoral map changed. So, Narendra Modi led BJP to 282 seats. First time a single party majority government, though they kept their allies. He further led BJP to an improved performance in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, crossing 300 mark. 2024 was a bit of a setback for BJP because it was anticipated that in Ram Mandir wave, BJP would get a bigger, but they failed to get a majority. But this is a government in which, now Gen Zs are playing the role of Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, though that's an old tip, that resignations do not happen in NDA government, right? And given the style of politics of BJP under Narendra Modi, this government does not bow down to demands very easily. This is, Garima, only for the second time. First was the farm laws, which due to the prolonged agitation of farmers, which lasted months, finally Prime Minister came on national television and said that he has failed to make farmers understand, therefore they are repealing the farm laws. That was before the round of UP elections and all, before 2022. But what has happened in the current agitation is something that the agitation, when it began on June 20th, it was subdued. When Sonam Wangchuk started his indefinite hunger strike, still public support was not visible. But when it really went up, when police picked up Sonam Wangchuk from Jantar Mantar and got him admitted to Safdarjung Hospital so that his fast could be broken, and with the July 20th, when the parliament session began, the lathi charge on students, which actually all hell broke loose. So the political implication is that for the first time, this government has realized that the impression that they were in, that they have widespread support, that has clearly been dented.
Yeah.
But so far as, now this cockroach Janata Party, a creation of the social media, and it is very unlikely that a social media creation, yes, they have won a victory, getting the resignation of education minister, but I don't foresee cockroach Janata Party becoming an electoral force. It doesn't look like. They have no structure. Their leaders are almost genz. No clear leadership is there. So it doesn't look like that electorally CJP would take a plunge or something, though you know what, every agitation has political backing. What they do tomorrow, nobody knows, but it doesn't look like that. They would be
3 years.
No, that's fine. They may have, but you see, electoral politics is something very different. And look, they only at the moment have had, the agitation spread to other parts of the country, cities were seeing it, but it doesn't look like, they don't look like a political force as of.
So, do you think the new anti-paper leak bill which has been introduced in the parliament and opposition...
That's now passed by the Lok Sabha today.
So, and also the new committee that was formed under Nandan Nilekani, will it be helpful in curbing the paper leak and other issues related to, these entrance exams or educational reforms that we need? So, like NEET and JEE. So,
Look,
will it be helpful?
Garima, so two big steps have been taken. Prime Minister now setting up of a high-powered committee, 6-member committee, headed by co-founder of Infosys, Nandan Nilekani, who is known across the country for overseeing UIDAI, creation of Aadhaar, right? Which almost every citizen of the country has a number, though now it's not called an identity card, but it is some sort of a number which is you require for welfare schemes, you require for opening a bank account, you require for almost everything. So he has a proven track record in technology. The other 5 members, you have the former education secretary in it, you have the former intelligence bureau chief in it, you have other people. So they will recommend steps. But this is not for the first time that some sort of a high-powered committee has been formed. The second step is that the law that was brought in 2024 when the NEET undergraduate paper was declassed time, so to curb malpractices, that has been further strengthened. And now it has been passed in Lok Sabha today. It's just a matter of time, will be passed in Rajya Sabha within a day or two. Now, do laws help? Look, frankly, the experience so far has been that these are knee-jerk reactions. Strengthening the law is a positive step, but will its implementation help? Many things have been said, that investigation would have to be completed in 60 days. Trial will be day-to-day basis. It will have to be completed within 3 months. But these are all reactive measures, right? What is needed is proactive measures to prevent any sort of malpractices. As you have very rightly pointed out, 2 very big exams, NEET for medical entrance and IIT JEE, now all being conducted by NTA, which actually itself is facing a crisis. So steps are welcome. Steps are always taken whenever there is widespread criticism or governments are faced with agitations. How effective it will be, it will all depend on the implementation.
Yes, right. And something very ironical is happening right now. That CJI Suryakant, who was the person who, called the unemployed or agitating youths cockroaches, and now he's the one who's listening to some of the protesters' PIS and complaints, including the CJP protesters. So somehow he did not get involved in all this, this protest or the question on accountability, and he did not face any repercussion for his statement, despite him being such a, being on such a respectable position.
We'll have to understand how the system works. What happened, how the term cockroach was born. That in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant, while hearing a matter, made an observation. Now, judges can never be held accountable for any observation, as observation is not part of your judgment, right? This is something called obiter dicta. What is obiter dicta? Obiter dicta is some observation that you are making during the course of a hearing. So he made an observation that, unemployed youth, they are becoming cockroaches of the system, right? He later clarified. He clarified that his reference was to those who are taking fake law degrees. But we are living in the age of social media. We are dealing with Gen Zs. But that time, the Gen Zs, particularly the CJP founder, who was at that time in US, Abhijit Dipke, he decided that, okay, this has happened. We are going to take to social media to say that cockroaches will demand justice. That is one part of it. That was sort of fun. That was that. Now, but how system works? Whenever you have any grievance, you go to the court. Okay. So, as you have said, that public interest litigations have been filed. Obviously, those will be heard by the court. Already court has started. Some interim measures have been announced. But as the judicial system works, so if you have said something or observed something that does not reflect on your judicial work, right? Duty-bound Chief Justice of India, when a petition is filed in the Supreme Court, is duty-bound. He is the master of the roster, that he can assign the case to somebody or decide to listen it in his own bench. So I think that is happening. That's a normal course of things. There is no aberration in it. But it would be interesting to see, because Supreme Court has already said that peaceful right to protest is a fundamental right and no force could have been used. Supreme Court is hinting that there could be an independent investigation. So let us see how things shape up in the coming days.
Yes. Apart from this, apart from the protest that we saw in India, the Gen Z protests that we saw last month, our neighboring countries, Nepal, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and to some extent even Pakistan saw similar protests. In some of them, the government was even overthrown after these youth-led protests. So do you think something of that sort is possible in India, something that massive which can overthrow the government? Because India is obviously a much bigger nation as compared to these countries, both in terms of geography, the demography, and the political and democratic fabric of our country is also quite different from that.
See, those things don't look possible in India, because all the examples that you have given are actually very small countries. Okay. And the issues there were different. Okay. Now, Nepal, there was anger against all the political parties. Right? Yeah. That led to creation of a new party. A rapper became a prime minister. Bangladesh was a completely different situation. Sri Lanka economy. So the thing is that every country, yes, no doubt that the youth were leading the protests. But issues and problems were different, were being handled differently. In India, in Indian democracy, the checks and balances system. See, because you have a functional democracy. So the pressure is released every 5 years. And state elections keep happening. So, but that is not the scenario in our neighborhood, right? So, given the checks and balances and the way the Indian democracy works, this kind of overthrow of a regime or something can only happen in the elections, not on the roads. That is my reading.
Yeah. And also, what are the actual fixes to these issues? Because protests can't be the only way, because the government has been elected, like you said, it can only actually happen probably in the elections. So the government has been elected by the majority of this country, and trying to overthrow it or, demanding resignation of certain minister. And all of this is done by a small segment of the electorate. So does it seem justified, and what are the constructive measures that we can, try to implement or bring to fix these issues? And
look, this is how Indian democracy works. First of all, in India, you have a system, first past the post system. Okay, so if you have formed a government, you have a majority of the votes of those who have voted, not necessarily the majority of the country. Okay, so if you look at Lok Sabha elections, what is the voting percentage? At best, the voting percentage is around 60-65%. Okay, out of those 65%, anyone who gets the higher number of votes wins. That is the system India has adopted. Now, when you are in government, elections will happen, either you lose majority or will happen at the end of your tenure. Now, what happens if any public issue arises? Look at the current case. The students were agitated. There was a trigger point. They took to streets. There was some violence which shouldn't have happened, but then agitations can go out of hand. Government tried to control it. Government tried to negotiate. But when they realized that nothing is going to work, they conceded to the demand. That was the only way of putting it crudely, of buying peace. Now, are protests the only way out? Certainly not. But what happens is, when anger grows, then what is the way out? The way out of venting the ire is that you tell the government that, look, your decision is wrong, you take corrective measures. Okay, so that is, the protest is a legitimate form of registering your anger in a democracy. It should be peaceful. Constructive steps, obviously, education system reforms and exam reforms have to take place. India, ever since India got independent, you have seen education policies change. You have seen new education policy came in 2020. So these dynamic changes have to keep taking, but at the same time, exam system, see, either you change the exam system, but given the way Indian education system works, it doesn't look possible. So when everything is there, then exam system has to be sacrosanct. The problem is unemployment is rising. Are you addressing it? Maybe what the Gen Z protest has shown, anger, trigger point was one. Then it spilled into anger and frustration because the Gen Zs were feeling that no justice is being done to them. So there will have to be a wholesome solution, a dynamic solution. Look, governments and democracy cannot be static.
Yeah, and in all of this, there is one more thing. Like when we talk about in educational reforms, nobody is also talking about these monopoly of coaching centers, which is, it is acting like a
Those are malices. Those are malices of the education system. If you will have a competitive exam, obviously such shops will mushroom. Certain regulation should happen, but the solution lies elsewhere. You need to increase seats, but to increase seats, do you have the infrastructure you don't have? You need to create employment opportunities. So actually, as I said, that it will have to be a wholesome solution. Yeah.
So thank you so much, sir. I think we have discussed most of the topics that were related to this issue. And thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you all in the next episode of TLDR. Till then, take care and goodbye.
You are listening to Earshot Podcasts. Find us on our website, earshot.in, on YouTube at Earshot Media, and download our app, Earshot, Indian Podcast app.